chokeholds.
Alright, what's up everybody, it's Brad at Coach Gaming. And today we're going to talk about bike setups and a couple different how-tos. I'm going to try my best to not make this a super long video. However, if it does wind up being a super long video, I apologize. So we're actually gonna use two bikes for this, for the bike setup. The reason being is my Honda. I'll admit I struggled for a while on this bike setup. It wasn't as easy as the Supercross games. I don't know if you guys seen my how-to video on bike setup for Monster Hunter Supercross 3. That setup was way easier for me to figure out and get down than doing the setup on this Honda in MX versus ATV. Can you not change your bike? Oh, it's because I'm in time trial. What a donkey. Sorry, I have a donkey brain sometimes, guys. You need to be in free ride. At first, when the game first came out, I'll give you a little history on this bike setup thing. It really wasn't too bad to set the bike up. Well, then MX versus ATV, I don't know exactly for sure. We'll say a year ago, roughly. Maybe not quite that long ago. They came out with a chassis setup. They added chassis to your bike setup, which is all fine and dandy. However, it literally screwed everybody's setup that they originally had. And since they introduced that, I struggled with the setup. Just trying to find something that worked good, because a lot of the things that I had just didn't make sense where they were. The bike rode like ass. It actually really frustrated me. I thought that they broke the game when they did that. After I got done being frustrated, I really just sat down and played with it. I think I probably rode 9 million laps on one track, just trying to get something that felt good. I don't think I have a setup on my Cowie. I do, but we'll go ahead and put all this reset. Yep. So this is what your bike setup scheme looks like. Tires, suspension, brakes, sprocket, engine, and chassis. One thing I need to touch on before we get into the setup. because it does make a difference on your setup, is when you go in here, you've got engine, clutch, tires, chassis, brakes, wheel, sprocket, exhaust, and suspension, along with, your handlebar, seat, and grips. So you can kind of make the bike however you want. Me, I'm kind of I don't have any proof on any motocross or supercross game that they make a difference, but I like to use the equipment that the factories use if it's available. So if it, like Kawasaki, I'd put Pro Circuit suspension on it, except, Pro Circuit pipe, so on and so forth. Same, with Honda, I would use something similar to their setup. I don't know if it makes a difference. I don't have any proof of it making a difference. It just makes me feel better. Because I would like to think that there's a reason why the factory uses those parts on their bikes. However, I have everything fully upgraded on every bike I have. If you don't have everything fully upgraded on the bike you have, you will have to go in and change your setup every time you upgrade your bike, because it will change how the bike rides. So now that you know that, we're going to take a fully modded bike and we are going to leave everything stock on it. Now, I highly recommend you do your setup in first person. I highly recommend you play the game in first person. The reason why I say to do it in first person, because if you do try to do this in third person, which was another little trial and error thing that I had to go through, to me the bike feels completely even though you have the same setup, the bike feels completely different in third person than it does in first person. I don't know why. That's just how it feels to me. But the first thing you notice is how bouncy this thing is. Now, I will tell you that you cannot get the bounce 100% out of the bike. At least I haven't been able to do that. And I've tried just about everything. But if you notice, the bike's not super smooth, and I'm not even pushing the bike. And it's just not smooth. It bounces around a lot, feel it. In your feedback from your controller, you can see it. And I would imagine that if I were to push this thing and ride it like I do my Honda, see, and the thing just bounces and front end flies up off the ground. So the first thing you want to figure out is you want to get the bounce out of the bike, because you want to get the power to the ground. In all these motocross, supercross games, and in real life, it's about, getting the power to the ground as quickly as you can without basically spinning the rear wheel all over the place. And cornering. So the other thing you'll notice is this track isn't really a super great track for cornering. I more so picked it because of the bumps. because it's a pretty rough track. But you also want to be able to get into these corners quickly and hit these ruts and hook in them. But as you can see, I'm kind of struggling right now on the stock setup I got. So, you know, the stock setup's not super bad. I mean, it's bouncy if you really push the bike hard. It's probably not going to be very fun for you. You probably get frustrated just because of how much the thing bounces around. But some other things is not only does the bike have a hard time staying on the ground and getting traction, but it also affects how the bike jumps. So, buddy, I'm not joining your party right now. I'm in the middle of a video.
Join my party. Yo, join my party. Yo, join my party. Yo, join my party. Yo, join my party. Okay. 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 Okay.
What's going on?
Okay. What my game? What my game?
I got something going on in my voice chat here.
What my game? GameStop. GameStop.
Dude,
GameStop.
stop typing. So, when I take off, let me back up. So there's some things that's going to frustrate the shit out of you right out of the gate when you try to do this. So when you're going up, hear the tires spinning? Just kind of sounds like it's in gravel.
That's not me, that's my game.
So...
That's not me, that's my game.
Well, dude.
That's not me, that's my
Figure it
game.
out. When you go in here to tuning and you look at your bar, so your power is at 6.2 on a stock setup. As we move the tires, remember I said it's all about traction. So you can see by the yellow what gains you're getting by moving your tire bar all the way to the right, and what you're losing in power from the engine. And I would say that's, I don't know, to me it makes sense in like a real life situation. I mean, the more power and friction you're putting down on the ground, the more power it's going to rob from the bike. So this is going to help with traction and cornering. Also with braking. I don't know why stunts play, well, I guess I could play a factor of stunts. Suspension. Well, just like most motocross games, the softer you go, the more stable the bike feels. It's not as bouncy. However, caveat to that is you usually will pop off the bike easier, especially if you over jump things a lot, or you hit the face of something, especially in this game because you have the free ride aspect, so you can go out and jump huge rocks and shit. Well, if you hit the face of stuff too fast with too soft suspension, it can also blow you off the bike. But it's showing us we're losing some suspension but gaining handling when we drop the suspension down. Brakes, that's going to be obviously, how sensitive do you want the brakes? Do you want them less sensitive? Or do you want them more sensitive? Now the brakes are also going to be kind of on how you ride. I ride extremely hard and I plow into the corner and hit the brakes. So I want good brakes. I want brakes that are going to stop me quick. Sometimes I get a little anxious and a little excited going in them corners, and sometimes I go over the bars because I rip the brakes too hard. But it also helps your handling, which is another key thing on a lot of these tracks. Sprocket, this is going to determine traction and handling. A lot of people are going to say, oh, why, you're all the way to the left, you're going to top the bike out fast, versus going all the way to the right. You're going to gain more power from the motor, but you're going to lose a lot of traction. Well, not a lot of traction, but you're going to lose quite a bit of traction. The key in this game is traction. Also, if you want to do like 100 miles an hour, well then yeah, you want to max it out. But on any of these tracks, I have yet to be on one of these tracks where I've maxed the bike out in 5th gear, running the sprocket all the way down here. Engine. So as we move our performance up, we do lose a little bit of traction, but we gain more engine performance. We lose a little bit of handling, which is okay. We lose a little bit of brake, gain some stunt. Now, chassis is another thing that acts like the suspension. The stiffer the chassis is, I'm assuming right is stiffer. They say the better the handling, the better the suspension. However, when I ran it this way, it felt the opposite. So I run it all the way to this side. Now, as you can see, I've got a little more power. I've got more traction, because that's key. I lost quite a bit in the handling. I'd say 0.5 to 0.8. I lost a little bit in suspension, 0.1 or 2. A little bit of stunts. I really don't care about stunts in this game. I'm not really a big freestyle nut. So we got our bike set up. Now this, if I remember correctly, this is pretty close to my Honda. I got my Honda dialed in, so we'll hop over on that, but we're going to try this setup. We got everything locked in. Now you will get a little bit of tire spin, but see how much smoother the bike is already? I mean, you got so much traction on this thing that it's pulling the front end off the ground when you're coming out of corners. And just see like how much further I can jump. That's a booter right there. On a stock setup, you ain't making that triple. I don't even think that's supposed to be a triple. But now you can really go in here and push and get those lap times. And like, this is pretty close to my Honda, it feels like. But see how it just like, it hooks the rut. It keeps you in it. Bike feels good. It's not super bouncy. I mean, it bounces a little bit. You can't, like I said, you can't get that bounce completely out. You know, like in Supercross, you can pretty much eliminate that bounce for the most part. But we're in one of the roughest tracks in the game, especially you run 15 laps on this track, and holy smokes does it get beat up. But for the most part, it's pretty smooth. So the other kind of how-to set, let's finish this lap. And from what I can tell, unlike Supercross, so in Supercross you got a different setup for every bike. The setup that I use on my Honda does not work well on my Yamaha, and does not work well on any other bike really. It'll work, it just doesn't work like it works on the Honda. That is not the case in this game. The setup will work the same on every bike, from what I can tell. I don't know, which is kind of a good thing, in my opinion. See how smooth it was right there after those rollers? You know, the suspension just sucked it all up. So now, we'll go back to here, switch over to my Honda. Sweet. So right there when I flat landed, you notice how I panic revved? Well, usually when you panic rev, it's not gonna buck you off the bike. In this game. So that's one little trick that you can use. You know, if you do overshoot something and you're racing, you can panic rev on your landing. And I would say 90% of the time, you're not going to come off the bike. So I mean, like, I come into these corners just hawking. Yeah, and I do blow the ruts. You know, obviously that's not what you want to do, but that's just how I ride. I mean, I can point anywhere, and the bike's gonna go there. But like, here, I kind of landed downward down. So that's pretty much bike setup. Some of the how-to stuff I wanted to talk about is your clutch. As I showed you earlier, it shows clutch. You can go in and set it to whole shot or something else. I have it set to whole shot, and you can use that when you're in a jam. Or just to maintain your momentum if you're in a rhythm section and you feel like you're losing speed. I mean, you just pull the clutch in the air and just hold it and release it right before you land. And I could probably show you, you know, like, there, I just clutched right through that, and I was able to double those. Like, just right here. Well, I wouldn't have jumped over the fence, but you guys get my point. I mean, you can even clutch in the corner. It just gives you that sudden burst of speed that you may need to get out of a jam, or you crash and you need to, you know, make that next jump because you wrecked right in front of it. Well, you can clutch it and usually make the jump. Also, I mean, you do have, and I'm sure most of you already know this, but if you notice that bar that says 46%, now there's no bar, it's right next to the speedometer. That's your seat belts. Now it's at 81%. To do that, you use the right joystick. You hold it down at the face of the jump, and right before you leave the jump, you push up. You can do it on just about everything. But those are, whoa, those are some quick how-tos. You know, just like little ones. Most of you guys probably, you know, by now, this game's been out a while. You probably know most of these things. You know, I'm kind of just doing a little refresher for some of you. You know, I know with the new Lucas Oil Pro Motocross pack that's come out in this game, it's kind of put a lot of, I would think, put a lot of life back into the game, because I'm super excited about it and enjoying it, and I've loved every single track they've come out with, and you know, I'm definitely glad that they finally did this. You know, last year they released, I don't know, six or seven tracks, which was cool. I liked those too, but it seems like what they did with those tracks maybe was like a test, because they did it better in these tracks. As far as pre-made ruts, pre-made breaker bumps or acceleration bumps, you know, the pre-made roughness stuff. You know, if you go back to the original, well, you can't because they redid a lot of the tracks. When this game first came out, they did have, you know, some pre-made ruts that were in corners, not this deep, but they did have some. And they did have a few breaker bumps here or there. I mean, the tracks weren't super rough like this one gets. But it's like they refined it. You know, they added more of these bumps and deep ruts, and you know, they started that, it seems like, last year when they put the first 7 tracks out, and then they went back and kind of redid some of their tracks that they designed and added some bumps, changed some sections, added some deeper ruts. But I mean, hell, they did a fantastic job on this new DLC they got. I definitely recommend you guys go out and get it if you don't have it. But that's really all I got for you guys today. Obviously, the setup that I have may or may not work for you. It works great for me. The bike feels a lot faster than you know, previous setups that I've tried to do and toyed with, and you know, it was just such a pain in the ass headache for me. I figured I would put this out there and hopefully save you a headache of spending hours trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Hopefully you guys liked the video. Kind of like the content. I've been putting out a lot of dirt bike content in this game. I'm sorry if it's overbearing, but I really enjoy the game and enjoy the new content. I definitely love the outdoor motocross tracks more than I like supercross tracks. Don't get me wrong, I still like the supercross games and have a lot of fun in them. But I like this stuff more. It's funner, they're faster, you're more wide open, bigger jumps. This goes on and on. So, if you don't have this game, MX vs ATV All Out, definitely recommend going and picking it up. And then picking up the, I think they call it a season pass, for the Lucas Oil tracks. This is one of the tracks that's in that season pass. If you go back and look at my previous videos, I've done a video on every new track that comes out. They release one new track every Thursday, so we will be getting a new track tomorrow. I think it's Tomac's track, the Colorado or whatever. I think that's the one that comes out tomorrow. But either way, I'll be doing a video on that tomorrow. At least that's my plan. And we'll kind of do a little track preview on free ride, and we'll see what that free ride map was. Now, you're not, just so you guys know, when you do get that DLC or season pass, it's not just this track you get. I mean, you get everything. Oh, we gotta find a way out of here. We gotta find a way out. No. There we go. Hopefully it lets me right over here. So they usually have like a freestyle section on every track, and they usually have like what they call secret tracks. You know, so it's not just I wasn't going fast enough. It's not just the main track you get. I mean, you do get the map to go explore and find new stuff to ride on, and trails and all that stuff. So I mean, it's super cool that they do that. I'm excited for tomorrow's track, which I do believe is the Colorado track, and that's a hilly track, so that one should be fun to go explore. And see what it's about. Whoa. Do a little backflip action for you guys. Alright, that's the end of the video. We are doing championship on the new content. It starts July 1st. It's going to go, I think we get 12 or 13 tracks. So we will be racing those tracks. I should have a schedule up next week on race days and times. All that information will be posted in our Discord, so please go down Discord if you're interested. It will be on the PS4 platform, and Discord is in the description of the video. If you like the video and the content, please like and subscribe to the video. It helps me out. And we will see you next video. Have a good one.